Welcome to the Rewilded Human podcast, where Dr. Lucille and Lynn will tackle your most difficult and intimate questions with candor, tough love, and a little dash of humor. In today's episode,
I see this with my friends, with family, with cousins, and it's very difficult. How much can you take care of them? How much time can you devote to them? When is that point where you say, I can't handle this anymore, and you end up asking for help or putting them in a care home? It's a very, very difficult, very personal thing to navigate.
Well, it's the old standard line, John, which is a person will change if they really want to. The biggest mistake people make is when they get into desperation to find Mr. Right immediately, and they get disappointed and disappointed and disappointed. But sometimes it can take years to find the right person. Welcome, everybody, to the Rewilded Human podcast. We are at episode 49. I'm Dr. Lucille. I'm a holistic psychiatrist, psychotherapist, and my partner in crime here, my beautiful partner in crime, is Lynn Hardy, who's the mastermind behind this podcast, and she's a naturopath and a nutritionist. So you're in good hands, folks. And so today we are facing the dilemmas of a number of people, real life dilemmas. And so let's just jump right in, okay?
Okay, here we go.
Dear Dr. Lucille and Dr. Lynn, I'm really struggling with the physical challenges of taking care of my elderly parents. When and how can I ask for help without feeling guilty? Sincerely, Jane.
Jane, thank you so much for sending us your questions. And I think this is a very, very common question and a very common issue that people are dealing with right now. You know, people are living longer. We have a lot more elderly to take care of. In a previous episode, we were talking about how difficult it is. We have this sandwich that generation where people are taking care of elderly parents and they still have young children at home, which is also a very difficult situation. And the amount of guilt that you feel is really huge because, you know, your parents become almost like children again, because especially the ones that need constant care. And I see this with my friends, with family, with cousins, and it's very difficult. You know, how much can you take care of them? How much time can you devote to them? When is that point where you say, I can't handle this anymore, and you end up asking for help or putting them in a care home? It's a very, very difficult, very personal thing to navigate. And I don't think there's any way to get around it without feeling guilty, because I think even when you're giving it your all 24/7, taking care of them, you still have this immense sense of guilt constantly. Lucille, are you seeing this with your clients as well?
Oh, for sure. And I think it's highly unrealistic, like Lynn said, to be free of guilt about this. It's just not possible. I wouldn't put that pressure on myself if I were you. You're going to feel guilty. Don't fight with yourself about it. Just know that you are doing the best that you can under the circumstances. And you kind of have to just tolerate your guilt. And, I agree also with Lynn that, aging parents can be like little children, and they don't really understand. They've kind of lost their judgment. They don't want to understand that they can no longer, for example, stay in their own home unsupervised. It really is almost like dealing with 5-year-olds. I would say if you're struggling, you're not going to be helping your parents. If you're struggling, it's just going to be stressful for everyone. And as far as when and how to ask for help, I think the sooner the better. Mm-hmm. Honestly, when you start seeing those signs of decline, when they've forgotten to turn off the burners on the stove or whatever, and you're seeing that happening more frequently, that's when you start plugging into resources. So you do your research, you find out what's available in your community. Many communities have, resources where there will be agencies where social workers, et cetera, can come and assess the situation, or there will be nursing agencies, et cetera, or doctors who can evaluate dementia. I would say as soon as possible, get that in place. You do not want to be left at the last minute trying to scramble because there's been an emergency.
And Lucille, how much do you like, how much of your own life and sanity are you expected to sacrifice? Like I see, for example, I have
I
a
would say
cousin.
none. I would
None.
say as little as possible. Certainly you have to, you'll have to devote more time and energy supervising your parents or whatever. But you have to be very honest with yourself. What can you tolerate? Like there's no general standard. Nobody can tell you how much you should be able to tolerate, and you shouldn't. I would just say, when you feel like you've had it, you really cannot imagine doing any more than you're doing, then be okay with that. You're not doing anybody a favor if you try to sacrifice yourself. Then you've got, deteriorating parents and you as the
I knew
deteriorating adult.
exactly. I see
Everybody
this.
goes down with the ship.
Yeah, I see this happening. I have a cousin who's looking after her mom who had a stroke, dementia. She's 130 kilos, and she has to do everything for her. She's bedridden, and she's very, very abusive to her, verbally abusive, swearing at her, yelling at her, throwing things at her. And she feels obligated, I mean, she helped her so much with raising her children after her divorce and everything. And I understand this sense of guilt and sense of responsibility that she has, but it's to the point where she is sacrificing her own life. And it's so difficult. Like, how do you make that decision? When do you know, okay, I cannot handle this anymore, mentally, physically? It's a really, really difficult situation.
Well, you have to be very brave and you have to be very tuned into yourself and just say, no, can't do it. I just can't do it anymore. No matter what you think other people may believe about the situation. You have to do what's right for you.
Yeah. So Jane, we wish you well, and we hope that you do get the help that you need, and that you can overcome your guilt and
Yes.
get the help that your parents desperately need. Okay, we're on to the next question from John.
My grandfather is an alcoholic and he has been smoking cigarettes. So, what are the things we can use to help him stop? Thank you, John.
Well, John, I feel for you. I know that there are many people who are in that boat with elderly parents, or in this case, it's your grandfather. And I am surprised that he's lasted this long to be your grandfather with his health habits. Well, it's the old standard line, John, which is a person will change if they really want to. And if your grandfather is still living independently and he's able to access alcohol and cigarettes and he has no desire to quit, there is nothing you can do. You could, if you're feeling that his habits are becoming so destructive that they're really impacting on you and other members of the family, you can do an intervention, where you organize a meeting of all the people who are concerned, sit your grandfather down and say, this is how your habits are impacting us. We're very concerned about how it's also impacting you. And we'd love to support you to go to rehab, go to AA, whatever it may be.
I always picture interventions with younger people, not with like grandpas.
Yeah.
Like do people actually do interventions with grandpas?
Oh, with all sorts of people. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So there's no age limit on interventions.
No, there isn't. So, that's about as much as you can try, John, because otherwise, if the grandfather at least gets feedback that no, because most alcoholics will say, oh, it doesn't hurt anybody, it's my choice, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
But if they get a countering view that, oh yeah, really, actually it is affecting all of us badly, they might stop to think. It might, plant a seed in their mind. But it's very hard unless a person really feels strongly that they can't take one more cigarette, one more drink. They're destroying their own lives.
Yeah.
Unless they get to that point, they usually will not comply. They will continue with the addictions.
Yeah,
That's
I agree.
that,
I agree.
that's the realization. Yeah.
It's very, very difficult. And especially someone that's been doing this for decades. I mean, unless there's like a huge health issue that comes up, a big health scare that could make them stop, or if they end up in the hospital where they're not able to drink or smoke. But that can also be a big issue because, you know, alcoholics, when they end up in the hospital and they don't go through the normal withdrawal, the proper withdrawal channels for alcoholism, then they can get very, very sick. So,
Sure.
and a lot of times hospitals are not dealing with this issue. So that can be very challenging as well. John, we wish we could help you, but
Yes.
your grandfather, it's the chances are it's going to be very, very difficult for him to stop or
Yeah.
for you to intervene in any way unless he decides that it's something
Yeah.
he really wants to do.
So try not to feel guilty that you're not able to fix
Yeah.
him.
Yeah. That's the thing. We want to fix everybody around us,
Yeah.
right? And it's so frustrating when you want to make their lives better, but people don't really listen to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the sad reality. Okay, John, thank you so much for your question. And
Thank
then
you.
we're off to the next question with Della.
Hi, ladies. Is it too late to start dating at 67? Thanks, Della.
Della, thank you so much for your question. Della sent this to me on Instagram. And the short answer is no. I mean, I don't think it's ever too late to start dating. If you feel, you know, you're lonely and you want to get out there and you want to start a new life and you're ready to date, if you feel mentally, physically prepared and ready to date, then by all means get out there. I think there are still a lot of people out there in your age group and older, younger, regardless, that are looking to find a human connection and looking to find a relationship, looking to find their forever love even. I don't think it's ever too late. Lucille, what do you think?
I don't think it's ever too late either. It's just that the pool of eligible bachelors
Yes, it's smaller.
gets smaller, and you just have to be more patient if you're intent on finding your true love at this age. You just have to be very patient and take it as a journey. Make the best of it, just don't, the biggest mistake people make is when they get into desperation to find Mr. Right immediately, and they get disappointed and disappointed and disappointed. But sometimes it can take years to find the right person. So as long as you make the journey something of value to yourself, you'll do fine. Like maybe you decide, okay, I'm just going to learn how to maintain my sense of humor no matter what happens on a date, or, that I'm just going to remain very pleasant and respectful, or I'm going to fine tune my intuition. So, and I'm going to develop a better connection with my intuition so that, geez, I'm going to get a sense, no matter what the person says, of how they really are. What's their energy? What's their feel? There are so many ways you can grow through the process of dating. And so it is an opportunity for your growth, no matter whether or not you find Mr. Right. You're going to be Miss Right. You're going to develop yourself into being Ms. Right, and you're going to have a more fulfilled life. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Where would you recommend for Della to start looking? We've talked about this in previous episodes, but I know it's hard for people to get out there. Where do you think
it's very hard. And it depends. Like, you may or may not be comfortable with online dating. There are dating sites that are focused on older people, seniors, etc. If you're okay with that, that's great. There are still in-person matchmaking services, which I think are better than the computerized online dating. And then the other thing, which has always been traditionally true, is finding, you have to be a little bit discerning about this, asking around among your friends or family or whoever you trust, if they know somebody who's also looking.
That's a great idea. Yeah.
Social settings or volunteer groups, like, church groups, go to your Bible study and check out the hot guys in your Bible study group that are single. There are many, many ways to find people, and don't be put off when you see that wherever you go, it's like 90% women.
Yeah, I was
Like,
gonna say, yes.
it usually is, right? It's usually
Yeah.
90% women. But still, you never know if somebody's got, Uncle Ted who's, divorced 5 years ago and he's looking for, you never know. You
No, you
just
never know. It's true. I live in Gibraltar, and they have this new group for singles over 50. And I've seen some of their group meetings. They go to different restaurants and they have a great old time. And I've seen their photos, and it's all women.
the
There's not,
women.
there's not a single guy, but you know what? They go out, they get together every week, and they have a ball. They have a great time. So maybe just connecting with other singles, other
Yeah.
single ladies, if you have something similar in your area. I was looking at them, like, these girls are having so much fun. Like, if I was single, I would totally go. And it's like, there are no guys, so what, right? You're still having fun. But I think there are like single cruises now. There are all kinds of different events and opportunities. But I really like what you said about, asking friends and family, because then you get a recommendation for someone that they already know, right? That it's not like it's going to be some psycho off the internet. So I think that makes a big difference, and you probably feel much more comfortable with someone like that. So even though the pool is smaller, I mean, there's still good guys out there. I really believe that. I saw this
Yeah.
video recently on social media, and this girl, I don't know if they were like jelly beans or something like that. She's saying, okay, this is all the whole pool of guys out there, right? And then she removes like half of them. Okay, these ones are gay, these ones are this. And then she keeps removing the jelly beans. These ones live on the other side of the world. And in the end, there's like 3 little jelly beans left. And it's like there's 90 million women looking for these 3. So it is, as women, I think it's much tougher for us, right? And I know in the nursing homes, there'll be like one guy who's going to be the hottie, the resident hottie. And then you've got 100 women fighting for his attention. Have you heard, Lucille, that in the old age homes now, there's so like STDs are rampant?
I'm not surprised.
I was really shocked to hear that. I'm like, what are these people up to? So I thought that was hilarious. So it was one guy spreading it to all the ladies. Okay, that's not a good example, Della. Sorry, I didn't mean to go there.
We don't want to really dissuade you from doing this.
No, sometimes my mind goes to strange places. Della, please get yourself out there and just realize that it's never too late, and keep your heart open. Keep getting yourself out there, and just trust that the right guy will come along. And write back to us and let us know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Della.
Thanks, Stella.
Hi, Lynn. Hi, Dr. Lucille. I confided in my sister-in-law about some problems I was having with my mother-in-law. I thought she'd keep it to herself, but then all my in-laws started avoiding me, and my husband told me they knew what I'd said. I haven't been able to sleep since this happened. What can I do to get back into their good graces? Thanks in advance, Melanie.
Well, thanks very much for this question, Melanie. I actually see a fair amount of this. Almost any Facebook group where people are revealing their stuff about their families, you get this kind of thing happening. I'm not going to even ask, but I suspect that there may have been maybe a little bit of alcohol involved here that maybe have lowered your judgment a little bit when you were confiding in your sister-in-law, because I'm sure you have much, much better judgment than this, because your husband's family are going to be far more loyal to each other than they will be to you. I don't care if you've been married and in the family for 20, 30, 40 years. They're going to circle their wagons around themselves and still see you as a threat if you say anything negative about any of them to somebody else in the family. So a learning lesson, painful, but there it is. So how to get back into their good graces? Well, the comment was made about your mother-in-law. No doubt she took offense. And she's the one that I think if you really are genuinely wanting to create some kind of healing, you have to talk to her directly. And you have to be very humble. You have to be very apologetic. No defensiveness, no excuses. And you have to say, I understand how much this must have hurt you. And I'm very, very sorry about it, but I would genuinely like to mend fences with you. And let's get back on a better footing with one another if you feel like it. But, I don't know your family. You know them better than I do. And so that may work, that may not work, that may not be palatable to you. You may really dislike your mother-in-law so much that you can't lower yourself to ask for her forgiveness. But really, I don't see any other way around it. And you have to also, I guess, calculate the costs of trying to talk to her directly versus not addressing the issue. There will be costs to both situations.
Is it possible that it'll just blow over? Like, what about just ignoring it and waiting for it to pass?
Depends on the family. Like some people can hold grudges forever.
Yeah.
And if they didn't like you from the beginning,
yeah, they were just looking for an excuse.
You just put the nail in your coffin.
Right?
Oh,
Melanie, why would you talk to your sister-in-law? No, why? Don't do that. Guys, let this be a lesson to everyone. You do not confide in your sister-in-law about your mother-in-law, no matter, even if she comes to you and complains about her.
Absolutely. Then you remain totally neutral.
Exactly. Listen, and you don't say anything. I mean, what I would suggest, Melanie, is maybe inviting your mother-in-law out for like a nice lunch or breakfast or something somewhere out away from the family, and just having a heart-to-heart talk, just the two of you, or maybe writing her a nice letter, maybe buying a nice card of apology and just writing down your thoughts, if she's not open to meeting with you, and just writing down and just apologizing from the heart and saying you're sorry. Like Dr. Lucille said, without any excuses, without any blah, 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 just saying, I'm truly sorry. It will never happen again. I hope we can move forward. I mean, literally, there's nothing else you can do at this point. But I mean, losing sleep, I mean, I can imagine, you feel horrible and it's just such a crappy situation to be in. But I mean, you have to try to make it right for your own sake, for your own mental health.
So anyway, we wish you the best with this, Melanie. I hope you can repair the damage that's been done and just move on. But do update us if there's some progress, okay?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this episode with someone that you think might find it helpful. And we will see you guys in the next episode.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Please be aware that Lynn and I are here to provide insights, advice, stories that are for educational and entertainment purposes only. None of our content should be considered to be personal, medical, or mental health therapy. If you are experiencing a mental health or physical health challenge, please consult the appropriate healthcare specialist. We are here to provide the best possible content in an atmosphere of positive conversation and personal growth.